Welcome to Spiritual Awakening with yours truly, A.G. Green Sr. I'm so glad to be with you on this blessed day. Tag and share and tag and share and tag. I am excited and delighted to have this privilege, as always, to connect with you wherever it is or wherever it is you're watching me from around the country, even the world, whether live or in replay. I am so thankful and so grateful for you. Let's pray. Almighty, we thank you for your goodness, your mercy, your exhilarating and amazing grace. Thank you today for this day. Thank you for life, health, strength. We are so grateful for our spiritual, mental, and physical faculties. Thank you for provision. Thank you for all things that we have been able to enjoy. And we appreciate your guidance today, your divine inspiration. And we pray that there is application from this revelation knowledge tonight. And we bless you and praise you in Yeshua's name, his way, his power, his consciousness. It is so, and so it is. Don't forget to tag and share. Don't forget to tag and share. And don't forget to share and tag. Good evening to you as well. Charlotte, God bless you. Tag and share and tag and share and tag. I am so grateful and so thankful for you. Another day that you and I have been blessed to live on the same planet together. And that is significant that we have been able to exist in the same time frame. And whether it be in what we call person or through the medium of technology, we're able to connect. And this is such a powerful and wonderful thing. So I am excited and delighted for you on tonight. I'm giving our faithful crowd a few more minutes to log on, and I'm going to begin to share some spiritual truths with you all on today. I always like to remind you that you are the offspring of an omnipotent, divine, spiritual being. Thank you. According to Genesis, we're made in the image and the likeness of God. Therefore, you are not powerless. You are powerful. So I want you to type in the comment section and speak it out loud. I am powerful. Come on, type in the comment section. I am powerful. Type in the comment section. I am powerful. Come on, type it in the comment section. I am powerful. That's it. Own the power. Own the power. You have power, been granted power by permission from the Almighty. And there is nothing wrong with knowing and recognizing that you are a powerful spiritual species, a powerful spiritual being. Come on, type in the comment section. I am powerful. Oh, yes, I am. I am excited. I am delighted to know that the power worketh and works on the inside of me. Whether I acknowledge it or not, I am powerful. Oh, what a powerful thing it is. What a wonderful thing it is to know that you have permission from God to be great, and you have permission from the Almighty to be powerful. So glad to see you and you and you and you on this particular night. And I'd like to remind you to follow me on the various social media handles that you see at the bottom of the screen. And I also would remind you that I do have a new book out. And if you haven't gotten it, you should get it. Visit theaggreen.com/sign up and receive a free chapter. And then after that, you'll have the opportunity to purchase this book. It comes with a mind map and a mind map companion. All of these wonderful tools worth over $100 you get for a fraction of the cost, as well as a video overview of the book itself. And so I'm so excited for those who've already purchased it. And I'm going to continue to share with you until everybody who is connected has purchased their book. All right. So you can visit theaggreen.com/sign up, receive a free chapter there. And of course, after that, you'll have the opportunity to purchase it. And again, it comes with some wonderful bonuses worth over $100. The mind map companion, which breaks down what the mind map is about. And last but not least, the bonus video, all right? The overview video that is from me declaring to you what the book is all about, all right? So glad to see you and you on tonight. I'm about to get into the subject matter. I've been on a series for the last several weeks, and we're going to continue that series tonight. Look like I have a few more things to do to finish up the series. But nevertheless, I think it's been going good thus far, getting a lot of positive feedback on this particular series. We're going to Psalm 1 and 3. Psalms 1 and 3. We actually looked at Psalms 1, 2, and 3. Let's see if I have it saved here. Psalms 1, 2, and 3. Matter of fact, we need to put those text scriptures up on the screen tonight. I know my niece Hillary is going to be out tonight at an engagement. She let me know in advance. But we're looking at Psalms 1, 2 through 3. 1, 2 through 3. 1, 2 through 3. This is what we are looking at on this particular night. Psalms 1, 2 through 3. Let's see here. Let's see if I've got it already copied and pasted. I typically rely on people. Matter of fact, let me go to the text and I'll just read it for you. And eventually we'll have it up on the screen for you. Psalms 1, 2 through 3. And then I'll put up the title that we gave that particular message. Pulling it up right now. A common passage of scripture. Psalm 1, 2. But his delight or his pleasure is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. That's verse 2. So far we've been on verse 2. Thank you so much for putting it up on the screen for us, Chris. I appreciate that. We've been on verse 2 for several weeks. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. Verse 3, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. And so I'm not even sure if I've got the right number here in terms of the installment. This might be 5 instead of 4. I didn't go and look before I logged in on this particular night. But we've been talking to you from the subject of what did you/I do? What did you do, or what did I do? Putting it up on the screen for you now. What did you do, or what did I do? That is what I have been discussing over the last at least 4 weeks What did you do in personalizing? What did I do? So let's type it in the comment section. What did I do? What did I do? Let's type that in the comment section. What did I do? We talked about the meditative cycle for several weeks, and we talked about how that is a part of the psychological or mental construct, how relevant it is in terms of our day to day personal functioning. I wanted people to understand that the blessed man who is complimented greatly in verse 3 first is living out a mental and psychological cycle in verse 2. It says his pleasure is in the law of the Lord. And remember, the law here is translated from the Hebrew word Torah, but in an even more richer metaphysical sense, it's not just a reference to the Decalogue or the Torah, which it is directly. It also can be expanded to mean whatever law or whatever systems that people live by that regulates or is responsible for the regulation or even the deregulation of their minds. And so this blessed man apparently meditated on spiritual principles or meditated on religious principles, meditated on principles for living, principles for life that, of course, would impact the blessed man's concept of God. It would impact his concept of self. It would impact his concept or his conceptualization of the world. Day and night is again quite revealing because it is saying to us that this man with intention decided what he was going to think about day and night. This man with intention decided what he was going to think about day and night. I'm going to say it again in a different way. This man intentionally decided what he was going to think about day and night. I'm going to pause there, as we would say, for station identification again, and just repeat and reiterate a truth that I've been sharing with you all for some time now. And that is, you must have a mind plan. You must have a mind plan. I'm going to say it again. I want to see some likes and hearts come. You must have a mind plan. So, in other words, you and I must be intentional from the beginning of our day to the end of our day about how or what we are going to be thinking about. And so there's going to be, there should be elements of things that feed your spirit, mind, or elements of things that feed your mind in your mind plan. There ought to be elements of things that's going to grow your intellect, elements of things that will help you access your spirituality. There ought to be things in your mind plan that pushes you closer to God, whether it's reading scripture, whether it's engaging in something that's going to enhance your positivity. There ought to be something in your mind plan that is designed to grow you or mature you, where you practice, of course, metacognition, which is the self-analysis of every thought, and measure up thoughts you desire versus thoughts you don't desire, and put a plan in place to replace the old with something new and something that's going to be more beneficial to your growth and your development. There should be things in your mind plan, of course, that are part of how you helping you relate to the world itself, how you interface, how you move through the world, your definition, how you position yourself, how you interpret certain things. These are all things that should be a part of a mind plan day and night. This man's mind plan, according to the psalmist David, was to meditate on the word day and night. So I got to ask you the question. What are you placing in your mind or exposing your mind to day and night? What is it that you are absorbing mentally day and night? What is it that you are feeding on mentally day and night? These are questions that I have for you because, again, whatever it is you and I feed on consistently and constantly is going to be the thing that dominates our thinking. It's going to be the thing that dominates our mind. I want to share a couple of statistics that I brought into the teaching tonight that I think are quite informing or quite informative for us. The study done by Duke University found that 45% of everyday behaviors are habitual. Do you see that? 45% of everyday behaviors are habitual, meaning they are driven by repetitive thinking and ingrained mental routines. I'll repeat that again, meaning they are driven by repetitive thinking and ingrained mental routines. Wow. So, again, the way we behave, AKA the way we act, is based on the way we think. It's based on what's in your mind, and as we would say, what's in your heart. And the word ingrained here basically tells us it is something that is deeply embedded in the psyche, deeply embedded systemically in our psychological part of our being. And again, it is something that we have rehearsed. So the bottom line is that our behaviors, everyday behaviors, are habitual, and driven by repetitive thoughts. You and I do what we think. We are doing what we are thinking. All right. I want you to type it in the comment section. I am doing what I am thinking. Type that in the comment section. I am doing what I am thinking. Type that in the comment section. I am doing what I am thinking. Don't allow anybody else to convince you otherwise, that you're doing something any differently, even by the influence of something else. You are living based on what you are thinking. You are moving about in the world based on what you are thinking. It's just as simple as that. That you are doing what you are thinking. Period. So these behaviors, and when we analyze it, consider this. How many of y'all probably take the same way to work every day? Mhm. How many of you all probably say the same phrases and have the same responses to certain situations every day or most of the time? How many of y'all eat the same foods or the same meals most of the time? How many of y'all are having some of the same conversations most of the time? How many of us are reacting or responding in the same way to whether it's a good stimulus or something we interpret as a bad stimulus, the same way all the time? Do you see the proof in that now? Do you see the proof in that? Based on what you eat, based on how you take care of yourself, based on your conversations, based on your travels back and forth to work, based on the kind of content that you consume. Am I making any sense thus far? Y'all talk back to me. I'm not on Facebook to see if I'm getting any likes and hearts. I can't see in the module your comments though. Am I making any sense? So, do you see how this statistic is glaringly true? Do you see that? That 45% of everyday behaviors are habitual, they are habits, and they are driven by repetitive thinking and ingrained mental routines. Wow, ingrained mental routines. So, this blessed man described in Psalm 1 has a habitual pattern, all right, that again is based on ingrained mental patterns. And these mental patterns again comes from thinking the same thoughts thousands of times over and over and over and over again. And remember, when we talk about thoughts, we're talking about beliefs. When we also talk about thoughts, we're talking about the triggering of emotion. The triggering of emotion defines moments for us. It defines whether we feel good or bad about something. So it's not us just thinking thoughts and doing stuff. It's us thinking thoughts, feeling certain ways, and then doing it. Wow. So hear me, family. Whatever is on your mind the most is most likely what you believe. It will eventually be something that crystallizes or manifests into three-dimensional reality. And again, it's based on how much you have thought or are thinking a certain thought. Here's another statistic. Meta-analysis published in JAMA Internal Medicine found that mindfulness-based interventions can reduce negative automatic thinking by 20 to 30%, leading to healthier behaviors. This is all talking about the thinking doing connection, the thinking doing relationship. And so this particular specialized group is saying that those people who practice mindfulness, which is the observance of their thoughts and also meditation, can reduce negative thinking by 20 to 30%, which ultimately changes the way you behave. So when we talk about what the blessed man meditated on, again, it's similar to the analogy I'm giving you in this presentation, the truth that I'm sharing with you in this presentation. So meditation is basically thinking, muttering, and uttering. And when we practice meditating on things that are counter to the negative things, yes, there's going to be a change in negative thinking because in your meditation time with intentionality, you have decided to be more positive. I want you to hear me. Again, the correlation between verse 2 and verse 3 is based on what the man is thinking. And I want you to understand the same principle applies in our lives. I got to ask you, what are you thinking about most of the time? What are you thinking about most of the time? I can ask you another question. What are your habits? What are your ways? Your habits and your ways are based on, again, what you are thinking about most of the time. So recently I was blessed to be out with a group of wonderful people after my mother's appreciation. And when they found out that I was a vegan and had changed my lifestyle, there was a bunch of questions from people at the table wanting to know when my journey started, how it started, what do I eat, how did I do it, so forth and so on. And so I shared a little bit of my personal testimony, but more importantly, we all can have kind of discovered in conversating back and forth again that our behaviors in terms of what we eat, what we put in our mouths, again, is based on what we think here. And it's based on what we believe about the things that we're eating in here. On the inside, it's based on routines. It's based on habits. It's based on, watch this, generational routines, generational habits, generational selections that we have grown up with that are normal for us, that have become a part of our culture. Now it's ingrained, it's branded on the brain. as if it's a necessity, as if it's something that you must have or something that you must do. And what does it do? It again is going to determine or dictate what you do, how and what you do. All right. So again, I don't want to mystify this or make this mystical or make this, woo woo. The truth be told, what we see in terms of the positivity or the effect of the man or the effect on the man's life, and we haven't gotten to verse 3 completely, but we're going to try and touch on it today, again, is based on what happens in verse 2. I hear you, Pastor Turk. I miss chicken wings and fish. Chicken wings and fish. And I didn't start out to be a vegan. I might go back. I might do pescatarian one day because those two things he just mentioned right there, chicken wings and fish. And I'm particularly a lover of catfish and swai. And of course, I love me some chicken wings. I love me some hot wings. Yes, yes, I do miss those things. And so again, it's as he's indicating, and we're laughing about it. It is difficult to break that pattern. It is a pattern. I want you to type the words in the comment section. Type these words: a pattern of thinking. A pattern of thinking. Let's type that in the comment section. A pattern of thinking. Type that in the comment section. A pattern of thinking. Because that's all it is. A pattern of thinking. A pattern of thinking. Now, before I start addressing more verse 3, okay, hear me, family. That's why we've got scriptures in the text that says, if you then be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God. Set your affections on things above, not on things on the earth. Elevated desires, an elevated level of thinking. Watch this: an alteration or disruption of old, unproductive mental patterns are necessary. But the only way you can ascend, the only way you can escape carnality, the only way you can escape primitive thoughts, feelings, and ideas, the only way you can escape trauma and dysfunction is to change the way you are thinking. You cannot ascend above those thoughts, that behavior, unless you invest in thinking that is ascension, thinking that is ascended, thinking that is above where you are now. And understand, whatever struggles or challenges we have in life right now, in order for you to beat it, you can't engage or accept thoughts on that level of the thing that you are opposing or that's opposing you. It's got to be a level of thinking that is above that empowers you to become bigger, stronger, and ultimately conquer it, because now you have been able to rise above it. All right. So I want you to type it in the comment section. New levels come from new thinking. Type it in the comment section. Let's do it like this. New levels come from higher thinking. Higher levels come from higher thinking. Type that. That's better. Higher levels come from higher thinking. Type that in the comment section. Higher levels come from higher thinking. Let's type that in the comment section. Higher levels come from higher thinking. So this man conditioned his thinking on the Torah. His man conditioned his thinking on the law that he took pleasure in. And this is another thing. This is another thing. Whatever it is we typically take pleasure in, what we consider to be good or bad, it's the thing that we're going to think about the most. Wow, that's a powerful principle. I'm going to say it again. Whatever it is we take pleasure in is the thing we're going to think about the most. Now, some of you have heard me say this, and I learned this not just in the courses I took on counseling in seminary and college, but from the great Dr. Phil, who is a psychologist. I guess I learned this maybe 25 years ago. I was watching his show, and he was talking about people who still participate in certain types of undesired behavior. He talked about rage, he talked about anger, he talked about other things. And he says that people typically continue these types of behaviors because the word he used was there's something that's gratifying them from that kind of thinking that leads to that type of behavior. And he began to say, you're getting something out of it. And it's true. It's true. The truth it be told is that sometimes I might, or you might, or others might feel empowered by thinking and doing a certain thing that is common to me, that represents something to different to me than it does to you. To the rest of the world, it's foul and unnecessary, but to you, you feel strengthened, empowered, emboldened, justified. So what I'm trying to say is that this kind of behavior for all of us, no matter what it is, whether it's a guilty pleasure in the food, whether it's selecting something in our diet that we need to let go of. Obviously, with food, it's taste and the way it makes us feel when the food is going down. When we're tasting it and then we're digesting it, we're getting something out of it. And sometimes to break that, hear me, that emotional addiction to the way we feel about a behavior that's could even be self-destructing or self-sabotaging, sometimes it's difficult to break. So again, the blessed man has aligned himself with what he believes to be divine truths that is shifting his thinking, and therefore is going to position him to be in alignment with his God to receive the kind of favor that he believes that his God is going to give him because he's in alignment with his God. I hope somebody's hearing what I'm saying. I'm gonna finish up here. Let's see. Look on got a couple of notes here to make sure I cover it. All right. So we move on down to verse 3. And remember, he's doing this day and night. You and I are doing things day and night. You and I are thinking day and night. We are thinking beings. We are sentient beings. We think. Now, one of the old philosophers said, I think, therefore I am. And I just saw a metaphysical teacher who did a video. I haven't watched it yet. I am, therefore I think was the title of his video. Nevertheless, we are a thinking species. And so right now you're thinking while I'm talking. Whatever it is you're thinking, and you're interpreting it based on, it's subjective, but it's based on your experiences, it's based on your understanding. When we get off here, you'll be thinking. Before you close your eyes to go to bed at night, you'll be thinking. Sometimes we have dreams. Many times we have dreams. And guess what the dreams are based on? What we've been thinking when we were conscious. If you get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, guess what's going to happen on the way to the bathroom? You're going to be thinking. When you sit on the toilet to, blow it up or do whatever you do, what do you do when you're sitting on the toilet? You're going to be thinking. Before you get back into the bed, making that nightly trip to the bathroom, guess what you'll be doing? You'll be thinking. And then when you become conscious again in the morning or whatever time it is that you've gone to sleep, even if it's a daytime nap, guess what's going to happen when you start coming back to consciousness and awareness in being in this world? You open your eyes. Sometimes before you open your eyes, guess what is flooding through your brain? Thoughts. You'll be thinking. So again, I got to ask you the question that I've been asking you quite a bit lately. What exactly are you thinking? I want to get this quote in from Ernest Holmes, who wrote a powerful dynamic book called The Science of the Mind. He says, life is a mirror and will reflect back to you, to the thinker, what he thinks into it. I'll quote him again. Life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. It's worthy of repeating one more time. Life is a mirror and will reflect back to you, or reflect back, to the thinker what he thinks into it. Wish I should have got a mirror photo to put up tonight. So imagine right now, and I told you your thoughts transmit. I've been telling you all that for some time now. So imagine you standing in front of a mirror, all right? You stand in front of a mirror. And when you are looking in that mirror, let me ask you the question. When you're looking in the mirror, what do you see? What do you see when you're looking into the mirror? Somebody talk back to me. What do you see? When you're looking in the mirror, when you are looking in the mirror, what do you see? Talk back to me. What do you see when you're looking in the mirror? Talk back to me. What do you see when you're looking in the mirror? I want y'all to help me right quick. It's an easy answer. What do you see when you're looking in the mirror? I'm just curious. I want to know what you're going to say. What do you see? What do you see? What do you see? Let me see who's going to say it. Somebody says me. All right. Another person says a reflection. Absolutely. Another person says myself. Thank you. All correct answers. This is the way it works. When light hits the mirror, for example, when you and I stand in front of a mirror, light from your body or any other object travels toward the mirror. Now, here's where the reflection takes place. The light rays hit the mirror's reflective surface and bounce back at the same angle at which they hit. This is known as the law of reflection, which states that the angle of incidence, or the angle of which at which the light hits the mirror, is equal to the angle of reflection. That is the angle at which the light reflects away. All right. Here comes the image formation. Your brain interprets the reflected light as coming from behind the mirror. So you perceive a virtual image. This is powerful. The image appears reversed horizontally, left to right reversal, but the distances are maintained, making it a realistic reflection. So the mirror essentially preserves the direction of the light's travel while reversing it, which creates the clear reflection that we see. Amazing, 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 amazing. So the reason I said that is because we are really photonic beings at the core of our being, the atoms and the atoms that we're made of, protons, neutrons, electrons. When you get down to the core of us, we are photonic light beings. Your spiritual essence, the spiritual you, is a light being. I don't want to get into that. But from a natural perspective of what I just explained to you, you look, light comes from you, the light that's also maybe shining over your head, like this light shining over my head, is aimed toward the mirror and reflects back to us. And then our brain interprets what it sees. I want you to understand that your thinking works like that. Your speaking works like that. What you believe works like that. You send it out and it comes back to you. So you send it out, as Ernest Holmes is saying, and it's being reflected in the mirror of life back to you. So if you keep thinking people don't like you, you're going to bring some folk in your life that reflect that they don't like you. It took me years to figure out that I was positioning, and putting certain situations and circumstances in my own life from the dark side of my thinking, from the dark side of my thoughts, from the dark side of ultimately my belief system that was transmitting how my life was supposed to be lived and how my life was supposed to work. And I was taught to put it on other things and other people. And it took me years, even by direct guidance of the Spirit of God, to share with me that you and I have been designed as such that these things that we think and believe mirror back to us as creators. Lord have mercy. Did I just lose somebody? Did I just lose somebody? Somebody talk back to me. Am I getting any likes and hearts, Pam? Because I can't tell. I don't have my Facebook open up. All right. You are reflecting back to you your thinking, your belief system. I need you to hear what I'm saying today. Here's the text 26 and 3. I'm going to get into verse 3. We'll start verse 3. Let me see. Still got a few minutes left. I did touch on verse 3 a little bit already. You keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, and the King James says thee, because he trusts in you. You keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you. In the King James Version, it says thee. Wow. Keeping your mind on divine things. Can I tell y'all, sometimes the only reason I have peace on certain days is because I know that there's something greater than what I'm seeing right here. I need y'all to hear me real clearly today. I'm going to say that again. Some days I have peace, more peace, because my heart and my mind knows that there is something greater than all of this. You have days you wake up and you look at your bank account, and if you're not careful, you can be depressed. You have days you wake up and you might not like the way you look, and if you're not careful, you can be depressed. There are days you can turn on your TV and look at what's going on in the world, and if you're not careful, you will become depressed. But you can only allow yourself to become depressed if you think that that is the only reality that exists. If you think that this is the only thing that's real, and it's got to be real moving forward, and I can only change it by allowing myself to align with natural principles, natural scenarios, natural expectations. Hear me what I'm saying, family. Then yes, hear me. If the rich really are getting richer, and that's true to a certain extent, and they used a natural system to get rich, or they are tapping into a natural system as a spiritual being to get rich, if you are drawn into that belief that I don't have enough resources, I don't have enough stuff, I don't have enough this, I don't know enough people to become richer, and the rich are just abusing and using people, if you get caught up in that definition, that conceptualization, that belief system, then you're going to confine yourself to it as if there is only one way, and that is the way you see these other people doing it. In order for you to be successful, you've got to know there's a higher law. You've got to know that there's a higher way. You've got to know that there's a God or a divine that's above all of that, which is a part of you and you're a part of it. So ultimately, if you accept the truth of who you are and access that part of you, you'll realize, yes, this stuff exists as a part of our experience, but you and I should be above that. So, growing up in the church, Paul talked about death and loss. He talked about death and loss. And he said, he was talking about believers. They don't sorrow as those who have no hope. And then he goes on to explain why. Because they are taught to believe that there is a world beyond this world. In other words, death is not the end. So we sorrow, we cry, we weep, he said, but we don't lose our minds. We weep, but we don't lose the perspective of hope, is what he's saying. Oh, we cry, but we recognize that this is only a launch pad into the next dimension. A dimension that is more real than this one, and a dimension that is not an artificial construct, a temporal one like this one is. I don't even want to get into that. And he's saying that we don't go crazy because somebody dies. We don't lose our faith because somebody dies, because we know that there's a higher universe, a higher law, a higher reality that's above this one. It's metaphysical. It is above the physical. It is greater than this one. Lord have mercy. Am I making any sense to anybody? Talk back to me. Am I making any sense to anybody? So I'm saying to you, we're supposed to set our affections on things above, not on things on the earth, because if you pay too much attention, Pamela, to this natural physical construct, then you can live a defeated, depressed, discouraged life. Now, I've written like 3 or 4 books on faith. I've almost died. I wanted to die. I've been through some hideous things. And let me tell you something. The thing that has kept me alive, I submitted my life completely to the Almighty. Let's see, 1988. And the thing that has kept me alive is hope in a greater God that I now know is a greater God that is one with me, connected with me, and a part of me. Had I not had that hope, see, when people kill themselves, it's because they even lose hope and faith in the God that many of them believed in. You don't have hope in that God anymore. You don't have hope in that belief system anymore. And you decide, and this is another misnomer. People think that folks who kill themselves do not love the Almighty. That's not true. Some of them have just gotten to a point where they feel like the Almighty is not going to rescue them, not going to save them. And last but not least, we need to stop. I don't even want to get into this rescue stuff. But anyway, they have lost hope. They have lost hope. I know what it means to wait on death. But then when that hope kicks in, when the Spirit of God that is one with me starts talking to me and starts revealing to me, I know it's bad, I know it looks bad, I know it seems bad, but am I not greater? Am I not better? Have I not been here for you? Have I not lifted you out of circumstances and situations? Have I not demonstrated through your faith and with you miracles, signs, wonders? So delighting yourself in the right things will position you to be like the palm tree in a hurricane, bending all the way down to touch the ground, but never breaking, bending all the way down to touch the ground, but never being uprooted, which perfectly sets us up for the first part of verse 3. Then I'm going to shut it down. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water. Let's stop there. Trees require water. Human beings require water, moisture, that kind of nourishment. You and I require spiritual nourishment. We require psychological nourishment. We require physical nourishment. You are a multi-dimensional being, and every dimensional being must be fed. But I want you to see the interconnectivity between these multi-dimensions that are you. So he is taking into his psychological construct what he believes is scriptural texts that enhances his psychology, it enhances his intellect, it enhances his emotions. It is shaping, molding, and making a worldview of life. It is shaping and making and molding a self-concept. It is shaping, making, and molding a God concept. I want you to hear me. That allows him to open that part of himself up more to access God, to access the divine that is a part of him. And now, because he has established the relationship of the spirit, the soul, mind, will, and emotions, and the body, hear me, with healthy, life-giving, life-affirming concepts, positioning him to understand the order of the Almighty, the order of himself as one made in the image and the likeness of the Almighty, and then his power and positioning in this world. He now has hit a place in his life where he is prospering. He has moved himself beside a river. His life is like a tree, as I shared with you a week or two ago. Their roots go down and they connect through a root system with other trees. They share minerals, they share moisture. They are constantly searching for water because they need water
to survive. Now, this tree, though, is next to water and never starves for moisture, never starves for nutrients. No matter how hot the sun beams down on it, it is connected to something that is constantly refreshing and supplying it with the necessary water it needs to thrive, not just survive, but to thrive. I want you to hear me. What the man meditated on transformed him into the image or into the analogy or analogous to a tree that's got all the water it needs and desires. It is connected to a overflow source. Am I making any sense? I want you to understand, hear me, family. Your thinking can connect you to a desert or it can connect you to a river. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Somebody help me. I'm going to say it again. Somebody needs to quote that. Your thinking can connect you to a desert or connect you to a river. The things that you are thinking about can either connect you to barrenness or connect you to success. This man thought on the word, he thought on the law of God. It moved him into a place where he could prosper. People think they can think about trash and prosper. They think they can think about things that are unproductive and be productive. They think they cannot invest in their spiritual selves or spiritual lives by imbibing and choking and gagging and feeding on the wrong crap, and think that garbage in is going to give them a paradise outward or success outwardly. Family, it don't work like that. Whatever it is you're thinking about is going to determine whether you're connected to a desert or to rivers. Lord have mercy. Thank you so much. It's going to determine that. Am I making any sense to anybody here? Am I making any sense to anybody? I'm going back to Facebook because I ought to be getting some likes and hearts. I hope that this is resonating with somebody here. And you sitting around here talking about, no, the Lord gonna do it. No, they didn't say the Lord did it. What he's meditating on position him to be like a tree planted by or successful and prosperous like that tree. What he was meditating on, aka what he was thinking about, what he lived his life according to, these principles flourished him, caused him to flourish. And I'm saying this again to you right now. Hear me, family. Hear me, family. Whatever you're thinking is connecting and producing and creating and manifesting an experience. Ooh-hoo. Wow, 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 wow. Whatever you're thinking is connecting, creating, and manifesting an experience. This man, from his meditation of what he was thinking, caused him to be like a successful, healthy, towering tree that never starved for water, that never lacked water, that never lacked access to anything it needed to grow, to expand, to grow trunks, to grow leaves. Come on now, to be able to house birds and other forms of wildlife. You and I, in a metaphorical sense, and even in a literal sense, based on what I'm thinking about, is going to help decide what I produce in life. Lord have mercy. Hear me real clearly. Do you see the connection? Do you see the connection between this man in Psalm 1, 2, and 3, verse 2 to verse 3? Do you see the connection? Yes or no? Talk back to me. And I'm encouraging you as I shut it down for this evening. I'm encouraging you to understand and to recognize that it's going to require intention on your part to meditate on the right things. Let me tell you something transparently. I'm not some kind of robot. There are some days I don't want to get up and read, and some days I don't want to get up and meditate, and some days I don't want to get up and search scripture and other scriptures that I read and read books. And no, some days I don't want to do it. There's some days I just feel like I don't want to be focused. There's some days I don't want to tap in or connect in. But I realize it's necessary. And guess what? I can tell when I have slacked up in those areas. I can tell. You know why? Because the same things that I may have been looking at before seem bigger and larger when I scale back in being consistently connected to depositing the right things in my heart and depositing the right things in my mind. Am I making any sense to anybody? Sometimes, family, you're living the same life, but you're reacting, or excuse me, responding to it in a better way when you feel like you're plugged in and when you are plugged in. And don't get me wrong, you can be plugged in and things seem to still be getting worse. That's true. But let me tell you how much different it's going to be if you unplug from consistency. Yeah, you'll feel, yeah, this thing is closing in on me while you plugged in. But how much better do you think you're gonna feel if you unplug? You're gonna feel a whole lot worse than you would if you are plugged in, because you can feel the energy, you can feel the synergy, you can feel the exchange between you and the divine in you. You can feel the energy and exchange between you and what your mind dwells on in terms of hope and faith and love and all these wonderful things. And it continues to provide you with strength and with courage and empowerment and encouragement. But when you disconnect from that, even when it feels like everything is closing in on you, is when you start seeing things, you start feeling the footsteps, you start feeling more hopeless and hapless and powerless. It's when you start entertaining more of those dreams of defeat, those visions of defeat, than you do of winning. It's when you start paying more attention to the giants than you do to the fact that you are really a giant killer. That's why, again, I quoted from the text earlier. If you keep those who keep their mind stayed on him, this is King James Version, he will keep you in perfect peace. You've got to learn, you and I must focus our thoughts with intention every day on scripture and powerful words that will feed us, that will inspire us, that will elevate us, that will lift us, that will push us to continue to live in alignment with God and continue to live with alignment with our powerful spiritual identity. And family, we can't afford to slack up too many days, especially when you're facing a lot of things in your life. It's got to be like a regiment. You get up, you pray. You get up, you meditate. You recite a scripture or a positive saying or a spiritual nugget. You take the quiet time, 5 to 10 minutes, and all the other things, scripting, writing out things, all these things, affirmations, confessions, all these things that I've taught you over the last few years. Just when you think you can slack up and not do it, something blindsides you. And again, you can be challenged while you're doing it, but your immunity levels are going to be much lower if you fade away from those practices. You know why? Because it's feeding you life. Mm. It's enhancing your spiritual and psychological and even your physical health. Hallelujah. Do not be deceived. Do not be deceived. Understand and recognize as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. You become what you believe. As Yeshua told the blind man, you become what you believe. When it says, according to your faith, so be it unto you, In the Message Bible translation, it says, become what you believe. You and I right now are reflecting, I have a mirror reflecting back from the world to us. That is our belief system. It's how you are showing up in this three-dimensional construct every day. And it's based on what's in here. But I'm encouraging you to know that if you keep your mind stayed on him, he'll keep you in perfect peace. I'm encouraging you to know you can be like that tree, that man who was like a tree by the rivers of water. We're going to get into the fruit next week. So I'm encouraging you right now. Your assignment is to be more consistent with the spiritual and mental food that you eat. So I want you to make it a point. I want somebody to type this step down. Number one, number one, I will be more consistent. Somebody type that in the comment section. Number one, I will be more consistent with what I eat spiritually and psychologically. I will be more consistent. Just type number one, I'll be more consistent. Thank you. I will be more consistent. I will be more consistent with what I do every day. More consistent with your prayers, more consistent with your meditation. Some of you praying, but you don't know how to meditate. You don't know how to connect with that truth, that spiritual principle. You don't know how to connect with the Spirit of God. You don't know how to travel beyond space and time and get the full essence of the experience with the Spirit of God. But whatever it is, you decide today, I've got to be more consistent. I'm not going to take days off. I'm going to do whatever it takes every day. Because the truth be told, yes, you're not just fighting something out there, you're fighting something in here. I see then a law. Remember, we've been talking about that on Sunday, Paul's confession, that when I would to do good, evil is always present with me. That evil that we discussed, that I broke down for you, that's an internal thing he's talking about. Those are rogue thoughts. That's another mind that exists within him that is constantly challenging the better version of Paul, the better mind of Paul that's trying to emerge. Am I making any sense to anybody here, family? And so I want to encourage you. You can be like this man in verse Psalm 1 and 3, where you are positioned by ever refreshing streams. But the key is what that man did. It showed consistency when he meditates day and night. So last but not least, those of you who are watching me live, before you go to bed tonight, I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'm going to be done. The giving opportunity is at the bottom of the screen, and I sure hope that you participate and sow your seed. I'm going to ask you a question. Here's a test for you tonight. What are you going to do before you go to bed tonight? Let me see your answers. What are you going to do before you go to bed tonight? Let me see your answers. What are you going to do before you go to bed tonight? Talk back to me. I want to see. I want to see what you're going to do. Okay, we got pray. That's good. What else? That's good. We got read. Okay, what else? What else? What else? Good answers. Anybody else? We got think and meditate. Very good. Very good. These are things that you should be thinking and meditating. So now remember, pray, read, think, and meditate on things that's going to make you better, that's going to grow you, mature you, or develop your faith, or might develop love, might encourage you, might empower you, might even challenge you. And last but not least, I've shared this with you before, I'm going to share it again. Be careful what you put on your mind or in your mind or what you allow to roll around in your mind before you go to sleep. You hear me? You take that, your subconscious mind takes that conversation and it can be imprinted. It can take what you're watching. It can take what you're listening to if it's not good for you and stamp it and start creating opportunities in your life from the thing you impressed on it before you went to sleep. My God. So you're on the right track, my loved ones. Pray, read, think, and meditate on positive, powerful things. Whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are good, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are of a good report. And then he goes on at the end and says, think on these things. And that's what we want to do. Think on positive, powerful things that's going to help us to master where we are now and take us to the next level, like this man in Psalm 1 and 3. All right. Did you enjoy the teaching tonight? Talk back to me. And I'm going to release you. Oh, I see a lot of hearts coming in. Love you so dearly. Thank you so much. Did you enjoy the teaching tonight? Talk back to me. Did you enjoy the teaching tonight? Some of you came on late. People jumping on and off for some reason. It's all good. Thank you for the likes and hearts. Did you enjoy the teaching today? Talk back to me. Talk back to me. Did it impact you tonight? My God, I got to release you here. Talk back to me. Somebody said encouraging. Encouraging. I got a yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I'm going to release it tonight. And again, whenever you're led to do it, you can always sow your seed, give your offering. And don't forget to visit theaggreen.com/sign up and get your copy of the book. You get a free chapter if you use that website, and then you'll have an opportunity to be able to purchase the book. I am excited about how it's blessing and empowering people. All right. I'm going to release you tonight with the shalom blessing. And I'll see some of you all in a couple of days. Keep me in your thoughts and prayers. And of course, you're always in mind. You're always in mind. I release you. Shalom, shalom, peace, wholeness, and prosperity. Nothing missing and nothing broken. It is so, and so it is. I'll see you all in a couple of days. Love you. Have a great day.